All right, welcome back to the second part of One Man's Faith today. We are talking with Lynn and Cheryl Hancock, and they are correspondents in the Middle East, and we've just been hearing some interesting things about some of the differences in what we kind of hear about Islam and what they're actually experiencing. Now, you have a ministry called Love Without Borders, and that's kind of a food ministry.
Yeah, like a humanitarian aid organization.
Yeah. We kind of do the same thing. We have Path of Hope, and we feed. We're lucky to get food from an organization called Three Square, and we just give it away to whoever wants to come and get it. It's canned or boxed food. Sometimes it's fresh vegetables and things like that.
Nice.
So we kind of understand, because I talk about this a lot too. And what that does. How is that affected in what you're able to do with those you're working with, the Muslims especially?
Well, they wonder why I left my job and left America, and they wonder why I'm bringing them food and clothing and helping them. And there's only one answer. You know, I really feel that the Lord put on my heart to go there and to stay there and help the people. I didn't know for how long, because he does say, come follow me, and you don't know.
Yeah.
Like
it's open-ended contract.
Right, exactly. And so I just keep going forward, but I'm able to tell them the truth. And sometimes we sit around the table and we talk about what happened, how did I become a Christian? And I tell them my story, because I had a really bad past. I was in jail. I dealt drugs. I did drugs for 19 years. I was a heroin addict for 2 years. And a lot of them can relate. A lot of them have been in prison, whether it's by Israeli or Palestine Authority. And so these people relate with me. I was able to talk with them, and they understand. When you just speak their language, which is just heart to heart, you know, you just tell them stories about how God works in your life, they want that. They know the God that they're following right now. They're being told to go and kill and to fight and send their kids and blow themselves up and things like this. And they know somewhere deep down that's not right. As a matter of fact, I was working with a group of guys, and I walked in, and there was a teacher from the West Bank there. And this teacher told me, he says, Cheryl, I think I'm going to blow myself up. And I said, what? he told me, he said, well, I was a teacher. I was teaching my class. Hamas came in, and they offered 100 shekels, which is like $25, to the kids who would come to the mosque afterwards and learn how to become jihad warriors. Oh. And he said to the Hamas member, don't ever come back to my class. And the Hamas member said, you will never have a job again in the West Bank. And they have to have jobs. Most of them have, 8 to 12 children, and there was no way he could support his family. So he said, if I blow myself up and kill some Jews with me, then I will get paycheck for my family. Every month they will get money until they're gone. And so this is my way of contributing to my family.
Now, wait a minute. You're saying that they actually pay those that blow themselves up? Well, actually, they wouldn't get anything because they're gone, but they actually would take care of their family?
Sure. This is well known in Israel. I put out updates, email updates, and I had it all listed, how much a person makes if, by the crime that they do, how many Jews they kill. If they end up in prison, they get money while they're in prison. If they die, then their family gets that money. So it's a big amount of money. You've seen the list.
There's an actual pay schedule.
A pay schedule?
Yeah.
Kind of like if I went for a job and I would know how much I would make every so many years, and when I get bumped up and things.
Right.
And they have that kind of schedule for killing people.
Right. For killing the Jewish people.
Huh.
Yeah. It's well known by the Israeli government, and Israel's trying to tell the West, wait a minute, we're dealing with a people that really don't want us to live. It's really hard to make peace like that, have peace negotiations. So these poor people will go out and blow themselves up and be used, and kids will get money too for throwing rocks or for blowing themselves up, or whatever it is, they'll get money for it.
So it's not just for having the 43 virgins and all that they do all this stuff for?
The 72 virgins, not more than 43. And all the wine they can drink. Yeah.
I haven't heard that part.
Yeah, they're not allowed to drink wine here.
So there's a list of what they can make by how much destruction they bring.
Absolutely.
Right.
So that's why the poor people and the Palestine Authority will keep them poor. The leadership will keep them poor. And of course, blame it on Israel, so Israel looks worse. But if they keep them poor, then they can use them as pawns. Just like the people you see in the Gaza Strip when the rockets were flying, Israel was shooting back, and the people were on top of the houses. There were no bomb shelters for their people. We have bomb shelters. I have one in my home.
Oh.
We have bomb shelters everywhere in Israel. The government builds them. But they had no bomb shelters to go to. The government doesn't build them. They use them as pawns. So people need to understand that. So this poor teacher was going to blow himself up. And I said, no, you're not. You know, and then we talked about the Lord. There is an alternative, and that is the Lord. So, yeah, it's really a dangerous place, and people are being pushed. So it's not always that they're fanatic and they want to do these things. If people are throwing rocks, and the cameras are on, and the Palestine Authority is watching it, or Hamas or Fatah are watching it, and you're not throwing rocks with them, you're in trouble. So one guy, the one guy that I helped, I baptized him, and after he was baptized, he had given information to the Israeli Authority saying that there's going to be a bus bombing on such and such a date, and he stopped that attack on the Jewish people. Because he did that, he had to get safety in Israel because the Palestine Authority found out about it. So he came in and got safety, but they approached his son. His son was 12 years old. And they said to his son, in order to get honor back in your family, because your dad was a traitor, giving up information to our enemy, the Jews, you need to go blow up an Israeli patrol. So they gave him explosives, put it in his hand. He started walking up to the patrol, and it blew up in his hand. Blew his hand off, paralyzed him from the waist down. He was sent to Los Angeles Children's Hospital and was fixed up as much as possible. That's how they treat the families. The traitors, you can't have traitor in your family. What they'll do with girls that become Christians is they'll either kill them, because the other girls can't get married in the family, or they'll pour hot oil in their faces to disfigure them, and it puts honor back in the family. It's Islam. It's honor killings. This is their way. I teach about Islam when we do our speaking tours sometimes, but it's huge. People need to know these things.
I'd like to point out one thing about the boy that blew himself up. The people that saved his life were the soldiers that he was intending to kill.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they were the ones that brought him to the hospital, and the hospital that couldn't perform all the surgeries paid to send him to America to have the injuries taken care of, and brought him back, and we know from his father that he's now married.
And he's a believer.
Wow.
Yes.
That's great. So the actual Israeli soldiers are the ones that took care of him after
After he exploded.
the bomb blew up in his hand.
Wow. Now, do you have a lot of people that, or Muslims, let's say, that actually come to you and say, I want to be saved?
Yeah. Many, many people. I explain it this way. It's like walking up to an apple tree and just picking the apples. They actually, I don't go out looking for people to minister to. It's a very busy place. And they'll come up to me, whether it's in a parking lot, whether it's in a hotel, whether it's walking down the street or a restaurant. They'll come up to me and start talking to me. And when I go to one and I'm sitting in a house, they invite me to meals a lot, invite us to meals. And then another one will be there and say, well, tell me, what's going on? Tell me. And then they say, can you come to my house? So then I go to the next house. And I used to go to 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, drinking Arabic coffee, which is great stuff. You know?
Oh, yeah, that'll keep you going.
Yes.
I went to one guy's house at 1 o'clock in the morning, and we went in, and my friend said, come on, just one more, and my translator. And so I said, okay. So we went to his house and woke the guy up, and the guy puts on the Arabic coffee, and he said, you know, everything I ever believed about God, it's true. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, when I was a little boy, I thought God loved us, and I found it in a book. And I said, well, what book? And he took out a Bible, and he had it all highlighted. He said, look, it's right here, it's right here. He was so excited. And I said, oh my gosh, do you want him to be your Lord? Do you want, he said, of course, what do I do? That's how easy it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's neat. I've heard some stories that, you know, that even God is appearing to the Muslims in visions and dreams and all, and they're coming to the Lord because he, you know, I guess he loves them as much as he does anybody else.
He loves the world, and you know, it's up to us to love them, let the Lord love them through us. And so there was one guy who did. I didn't believe all this, dreams and visions, But I talked to some that it happened to. And one guy, he actually almost pulled me out of my car. "You're a Christian. Come on, you're a Christian. I know you are." I said, "Okay, why?" And he told me that the Lord, he was a very sick man, and the Lord, he calls him Yeshua, came to him in a dream and said that when you wake up, you're going to be healed. You're going to be a healthy man. And you're going to know that I, Yeshua, not Isa, the Jesus in the Quran, but Yeshua, salvation is what that means in Arabic, is going to heal you, and Yeshua is God. And he woke up and he was healed. And so he had that dream, and he didn't know where to go. And he walked up and down the street in Jerusalem till he found a church to find out who Yeshua is and all that. Well, he went to a Catholic church, and the nuns gave him a Bible, and he said, "I'm praying to Mary every day." And he had his little Bible highlighted, and he was so excited. He was the attendant in the parking lot. And I said, "Do you want to pray to Jesus?" He said, "I could do that." I said, "Of course you can." And that's when he just lit up, and I brought a friend, a translator, made sure he knew what he was talking about, and he received the Lord as his Lord and Savior.
Wow.
See,
Now you're saying that Jesus is mentioned in the Quran,
yes.
but it's not the same?
Well, Jesus, they say, is a prophet. Muhammad is the greatest prophet. So Jesus, Allah
Jesus
has
comes
no
under
son.
Muhammad?
Jesus comes under Muhammad, and,
Wow.
and the creed is that Allah has no son.
Oh,
So see,
okay.
Allah means God in Arabic, but they say God has no son. Their God, Allah, which was the moon god back in Muhammad's day in Mecca. So yeah, the Isa they have in the Quran is just a prophet. Yeshua means the same as it does in Hebrew. Yeshua means salvation. So that's how you have to differentiate. I don't let them call him Allah once they get saved, because I don't want them thinking about a different type of God. You're talking about salvation, really being saved.
Yeah.
They call him El-Rab, the Lord, or Yeshua.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So we're getting ready to take a break here, but my question just left me. I'll have to come back to it because I can't remember what it was. It was.
Can I tell you something real quick?
Go ahead, tell me something.
That guy that we baptized and led to the Lord, he was shot. He opened his window when they called his name, and he was shot at. And he said, "Cheryl, it's such a miracle. They should have killed me when they shot at me," because he was evangelizing in his village. And he said, "Look, I only have 3 bullet holes in my leg."
Holy
And I said, "Did you move? Did you move?" And he said, "No, I didn't move because they need Jesus. They need Yeshua." So he was a witness to
somebody
me.
protected him.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, we got to take another break. So let's go ahead and take that, get that cup of coffee, and we'll be right back.